What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Wednesdays with Wersh. In this week's episode, I have another supplement for you guys that I'm going to be sharing from my arsenal that I've been taking over 2 years. So I'd like to introduce you to MCT Oil. Alright, so you're interested in taking MCT oil, but you're not sure if it's right for you. Well, in this week's episode, I'm going to dive into what MCT oil is, what the benefits are, as well as the research that supports some of these claims that manufacturers are making in regards to the benefits of MCT oil, dosage, and my personal experience with MCT oil. MCT oils, also known as medium-chain triglycerides, are a class of saturated fats comprised of fatty acids containing 6 to 10 carbon atoms. Now, the reason why this is important is because the length of those fatty acid chains is going to determine how quickly our body is able to digest these fatty acids. And in the case of MCT oils, they get processed relatively fast. And when shuttled to the liver, similar to glucose, some of it's going to get metabolized into ATP by the mitochondria, and the rest of it is going to be converted into ketone bodies, also known as beta-hydroxybutyrate. The beautiful thing about these ketone bodies is that it's a clean burning fuel source for both the brain and the muscle tissue. Now, most of this is coming from the caprylic acid, or the C8. So when looking for MCT oils, you want to find something that's mostly going to be C8 or caprylic acid. So keep that in mind when you guys are purchasing it. Now, most of these MCT oils are coming from things like coconut oil or palm kernel oil. MCT is just a more concentrated form of those. Now that you guys understand what MCT oil is, now let's dive into some of the benefits that you can expect from taking MCT oil. The first benefit that you can see is an increase in thermogenesis, which is a metabolic process in which our body burns calories to produce heat. So you're essentially increasing how many calories you can burn each day just by taking MCT oil. Benefit number 2 is going to be an increase in insulin sensitivity. And this is thanks to those ketone bodies that I was mentioning before. Now, I also found a study looking at the effects of dietary MCTs on weight loss and insulin sensitivity in a group of moderately overweight type 2 diabetic Chinese men. And what they found is that compared to the control group, they had a reduction in body weight, waist circumference, and an improved insulin resistance in MCT groups compared to the LCT group at the end of the study. So what we're looking at here is improved biomarkers or risk factors of people that are suffering from type 2 diabetes. Now, this can also be translated over to people that are not suffering from type 2 diabetes in terms of improving their overall insulin resistance. Benefit number 3 is going to be improved cognitive function. And this is probably one of the most important benefits of taking MCT oil. At least this is what people tout the most when taking it. And this is part of the reason why I mix it in with my coffee first thing in the morning, is because I'm looking for that cognitive boost. And I found 2 studies that suggest that caprylic acid supplementation can enhance cognitive function after a single 40 milliliter dose. And after daily dosing on 20 grams over 90 days among older adults with mild to moderate cognitive impairments, they showed significant improvements in their overall cognitive abilities. So whether you're young or old, the cognitive gains are there. Benefit number 4 is going to be mitochondrial biogenesis. Now, I know that sounds like a mouthful, but what that means is that we're able to improve the size of our mitochondria, and they're the ones responsible for producing energy for our entire body. Now, if you guys have seen my previous video on creatine, I break down ATP production. Mitochondria are the ones that are producing ATP, and MCT oil helps to upregulate the growth of those mitochondria and the health of our mitochondria. So it's super important for us to producing more energy, which normally can only be done through caloric restriction or long aerobic exercise. And in this form, you're just getting it from taking a supplement. Benefit number 5 is going to be an increase in AMP kinase. Now, this is known as the master regulator for all energy production in our cells. So it's a signaling molecule that's going to let our body know how much energy we need to produce. So this goes back to the mitochondrial health. Mitochondria is critical to our overall well-being and youthfulness and vitality. So in order for us to protect our mitochondrial health, MCT oil is a great supplement that you could be taking to help regulate not only your cellular health, but also your cognitive abilities, as well as your ability to metabolize and burn fats and regulate your insulin levels. It is a powerhouse of a supplement, which is why it is a staple of my supplement stack, and it's why I've been taking it for over 2.5 years. So there are the benefits you can expect to see when taking MCT oil. Now let's dive into the dosage and my personal experience with it. Dosage is extremely important when it comes to MCT oil. Now this is gonna kind of bleed into my own personal experience with the supplement, and it's kind of funny, but most of the studies were talking about dosing with MCT oil between 10 and 20 grams, which means that this is about 12.7 grams for 1 tablespoon. I typically consume about 1.5 to 2 tablespoons per day with my coffee, or I incorporate it with my green smoothies. So as long as you're consuming 1-2 tablespoons, from most manufacturers, you're gonna be set on the recommended dosage. Anything more than that, you start to run into permeability issues in your gut, also known as disaster pants. And I mean, when you take too much of this MCT oil, like work yourself up to taking a higher dose, because this stuff is like a release valve on your bowels. It is insta-poo. Like if you think coffee or a green smoothie is something that's gonna evacuate the bowels quickly, this is like no warning signs. You gotta basically shit your pants if you take too much of it. So be very careful when starting out with MCT oil. Start with 1 tablespoon and like work your way up gradually till you find a dose that you're comfortable with. But as long as you're taking between 10 and 20 grams, you're in the sweet spot. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this week's episode. Thank you for joining me. I hope you found the MCT oil content valuable. If you did, hit the like button. If you didn't, let me know down in the comment section below why you didn't like it. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell to the right of that. That'll notify you every time I release new content. And this week's quote of the week is coming at us from Vahab Shah. I think I pronounced that right. I probably butchered that. Vahab Shah. Well, anyways, this week's quote is, whenever you see a successful person, you only see the public glories, never the private sacrifices to reach them, which I think is so critical, especially when we idolize all of these successful people, whoever it is, whether it's a comedian, actor, actress, or professional athlete. Respect the grind, respect the amount of work it took to get to that point in their career, and realize that you can do it yourself. It just takes a little bit of elbow grease and a hell of a lot of patience. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for this week's episode. As always, be healthy, be active, and be yourself. Everyone has something to give this world. You just gotta go out there and find it. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.